I don't believe in regret, remorse, or mistakes. And here's why. It's all a part of your path. So if you're like, oh, boo-hoo, why did I date this person? Or why didn't I dump that person? Or why did I, whatever. What you're doing is you're invalidating your path. And so you cannot move on and attract the person who I can see energetically in your vortex.
All right. Welcome to the Alliance Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nikhil Sharma, and I'm so grateful to have you guys here with us today. In today's topic, we're going to be talking about how to attract your dream partner. And joining us today is our lovely guest, the excitement whisperer, the transformational coach, and the author of The Best Life Ever, Taylor Wells. Welcome to the show, Taylor. Welcome back, I should say. So grateful to have you here with us.
Thank you for everything, for creating this platform, for inviting me the first time and inviting me back. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy for whoever has been attracted to this information. As always, take what you want and leave the rest.
Well said. Well, look, this topic is of particular interest to me as I am currently in a single situation, but I know it's a topic that many people can relate to and are looking for answers and guidance from. So just a little bit about my background, before we kind of jump in. I feel like the concept of love has been something when I was growing up. We see it in the TV shows, in movies like Cinderella, like it's this fairy tale. And, it's something that we are, constantly seeking out. But our first sense of love, comes from our parents. And I grew up in a South Asian household and with Indian parents who, I want to say didn't embody what I was seeing on television or the movies. They showed love in their own way. It wasn't really expressive. Like I never saw a lot of hugging, a lot of kissing. And so then my mindset went from love being this fairy tale to love being a type of love that's not necessarily expressed. Because then, as I was being raised, I was taught that expressing love is a weakness, or expressing emotions becomes a weakness, And so then I went about life with that mindset, because remember, we're basically just computer programs that are fed data throughout our life, and that data starts playing an effect to what our thoughts are, and then our beliefs and our values, and then that affects the way we show up in life and the realities that show up in our life. Specifically, my parents would hammer home the point that, hey, Nick, you need to marry somebody that's Indian. You need to marry someone that's very successful. You need to marry someone that comes from a really good family. You need to marry someone who's beautiful. She should also cook. She should also clean. Like this whole checkbox that gets created for you by your parents, by society, of what is deemed to be that perfect partner. And, I realized that is completely broken, or it didn't work for me along my journey. And so I know a lot of people that likely is a similar story for them, where their parents influence them of what the ideal partner is. But you realize growing up that whatever those societal norms is, it doesn't work for you. And so you need to try to figure out a new way to help manifest your dream partner. So that's my background. And so, Taylor, guide me a little bit through, what you feel would be the right approach for me to be able to, or anyone to be able to get their desired dream partner. Because I do feel like fairy tales do exist, and you can find that ideal love. It's just about how intentionally you are going about that, and, listening to your inner guidance.
That was awesome. Thank you. So I love this so much. So let's begin, Nick, and whoever is here with us at whatever point in time, which is all an illusion anyway. First, start by literally take a deep breath all the way into your body. So really fill up with breath first. Hold it, And then open your mouth and exhale. Good. And then relax your shoulders down your back. Draw the crown of your head, also known as your crown chakra, up. So you're kind of lengthening your spine a little bit. And then draw your tailbone down. So everyone's like, why is she teaching us yoga? We want it like, we want speed dating.
Right.
So here's why. I love most of what you said. I love all of what you said. I agree with most. A few things, and I am a stickler for this, and anyone who is a client of mine, student of mine, reader of my, whatever, academy student, will laugh when they hear this. I love words, and I notice words that are not aligning. I'm gonna speak directly to Nick. You can pretend I'm speaking to you if you're interested in this, in attracting a partner who is reflective of your highest excitement and best life ever. Okay, because life is a mirror. So whatever we're getting is a reflection of what we're putting out, which you most likely have heard of, the law of attraction. Law of attraction is one piece of what I coach, teach, and most importantly live, because my life is really my message. I use words because I enjoy them. My dad was a writer. I love to write. Words are fun, but however, they're a very tiny part of how I personally, Taylor Wells, disseminate information. So, Nick, as you listen to me now, and anyone who listens to this podcast now or forevermore, and I recommend you listen more than once, because every time you get a different piece of information, just like every time you practice yoga, which you just did by breathing and doing everything we did, it's always a different practice. Every time I teach a pose, even if it's warrior one, if someone's never done yoga, it's a very commonly understood pose. You can Google it. No big deal. It's not a fancy whatever. Yoga is very accessible. People would hear it differently every time. Okay, so they'd be like, "Oh my God, that's what she means when she says blah blah blah." So words. Back to Nick's words. A few things. One thing you said, we are merely programs of information we've picked up. Now, I'm trained as a clinical psychologist, so I understand the nomenclature you're using, and it's valid. The important thing is that all beliefs are valid, all of them. Even the ones that you think stink, they're valid. So it's all right to feel, believe, and think that something stinks or you don't prefer it, which is language I teach and prefer. You want to kind of neutralize it. However, it's really important to understand that it's all valid. And we are going to get, I promise, to you attracting your dream partner with ease. So if it's not with ease, it's a red light, synchronicity, okay? I don't use the word should, but if I did, I would use it here. It will be easy and flow. That's really important. So many of us, as we grew up, as Nick eloquently described, and I really appreciate everything you said and your authenticity and vulnerability. My belief is that vulnerability is power. I believe the opposite of what you said people, quote unquote, say and believe. However, it's valid too. It's all valid. And why do I keep saying that? Because whatever we invalidate or shout no at or say stinks, we give attention to, therefore power to, and therefore paradoxically we attract it. Okay, so imagine and we are going to specifically, I promise, I keep saying this, get to the partner, but this is really important because this is the foundation. All right. When you understand these principles, it works for everything. So even if you're listening to this by accident and you're like, I wanted to hear about how to make a lot of dough, it's the same stuff. All right. It's all the same. So, and the foundation is your beliefs, and only you get to choose your beliefs. Okay. People can spoon feed you beliefs, and they do mostly in a well-meaning manner. I would actually say personally, I have chosen to believe it's all well-meaning, even if they're the way that they express that is in a way that you don't prefer. Okay, I believe that all people are attempting to love in the best way they can. All right, well, I'll leave it at that. I believe that unconditional love is the biggest defense you could ever have because it always wins. Now, it's quieter and it's more powerful because true power is subtle and easy. So think about water just dripping onto a mountain. Those little drops of water, right? That's powerful, what it can do. So we are spoon-fed things. And that's awesome because we chose to be here, 3D planet Earth. So that's really important because when we get into a whole boo-hoo, self-victimization, everything's hard for me, the universe isn't supporting me. No, you're not supporting you. Everything is self-created, everything. Okay? So when you understand that, it's like, really? So I can have anything? Absolutely. Anything that is relevant to you. So sometimes my clients, they go, well, I just don't think I can have it all. And I say, who said? All right. So you can, as long as it's relevant. So for example, if there's something you're just not interested in, it's not really relevant to you. So that's not going to pop in unless you push against it. It's coming in. All right. So that's why, hence, you can, of course, have your beliefs, your informed opinions, and then get pissed off about something that you don't prefer. Okay. Because what that is it's a mechanism to show you who you are. And you better know who you are before you attract someone. Because if you don't, you're going to attract something you don't prefer, and then I'm going to have to coach you through a divorce. And I went through a divorce, and it's fine because we're friends and we share a beautiful daughter together. And I would not change a thing. I don't believe in regret, remorse, or mistakes. Okay? And here's why. It's all a part of your path. So if you're like, oh, boo-hoo, why did I date this person? Or why didn't I dump that person? Or why did I, whatever. What you're doing is you're invalidating your path, and so you cannot move on and attract the person who I can see energetically in your vortex. And I can see Nick's person. I don't see faces, I see energy. So if the person walked in the room, I would recognize the person, and this has happened multiple times. The only challenge personally with my job is that I'm not allowed to spill the beans. So I'm not allowed to be like, oh my God, hi, nice to see you, right?
Yeah.
But so this person, in Nick's case, because I'm speaking to Nick, but your person is already there. You don't need to create this person, okay? From the foundation that I was just describing, and again, listen to this a couple times. I'm going to listen to it. I listen back to stuff and I'm like, damn, that's really good. Because this is coming from Nick. This is from Nick's higher self. That's who I'm speaking for, I should say. Okay. That's what I do with my clients. So anyway, you want to know who you are and you want to decide, I know I don't prefer that because that pisses me off. So get angry, all right, for 15 seconds. That's what I'm going to give you. 15 seconds. That's anger. Go to neutral. If you guys don't know how to do that, it's basically kind of blanking your brain out. And I'm sure Nick has someone on his podcast who describes that. I'm not going to go into detail, but people who have been through trauma, I work with a lot of trauma survivors, they're superheroes. Superheroes.
I love it. Yeah, they are.
With that. with because they learned, right, how to like shut it down, because they're like, I don't prefer this, shut it down. Now once you shut it down, you make your mind blank. You could do that in any way you want. Go to what you do prefer. I prefer whatever the antithesis, right? Now if you're still angry at like that person who you divorced or that person who dumped you, you're in judgment. And the issue with judgment is we are what we judge. Isn't that so
Yeah.
weird?
No, no.
So
I
you think
agree.
we're
I
really
agree.
mad? Tell
No,
me.
no. I love that what you're saying, and it brought a couple of things of my past up. You're saying it so beautifully, because what happens is that um, when you're trying to when you're in relationships, and if a relationship ends bad, then oftentimes you have two different choices. You can spend the time to try to heal from that relationship, and use that relationship as an opportunity for growth and like a lesson, or you can sit in resentment, anger, fear, and let that relationship eat you alive. And then you will try to do things to avoid that pain, and sometimes that means jumping into a new relationship without really getting over your old relationship. And now you're going into a new relationship thinking that's going to fix all your problems, but it doesn't. You're just bringing toxicity to a new situation that stems from a past, and you're damaging what potential that could possibly be there, because of the unhealedness that you have from a prior relationship. So what Taylor's saying is completely valid, and something that I suffered from, because when I was in a relationship, since 18 years old, and then I had some heartbreak that led me to jump right into another relationship, and then that relationship ended badly, and then I went to another relationship, and the cycle just went on and on. And then what happens is you finally get into a relationship where you're like, this person is amazing, and you in your mind you're like, uh I don't really feel worthy for this type of love, right? Like, I don't feel like I deserve this because of the destruction that I've, you know, undergone in the past several years. And so you come up with a new way to destroy something good in your life, right?
Very
You're like,
resourceful.
your body has, your mind has so many ways to destroy things, right? And so it's like, all right, I'm not worthy for this, so I'm gonna start being closed off. I'm not gonna talk about my emotions. I'm gonna be lack of communication. I'm gonna be in and out in this type of relationship, and then I lose that, and then I go on to another spiral. But what's beautiful is, just as your mind is able to destroy things, it has even a greater ability to create things and to build things and to heal, and that is what's really important, is to empower yourself to be like you said, I have chosen to be here on earth. I have
Yeah.
chosen this path that I'm on. This path isn't going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of adversity that's going to come in my life. Some things that I can control, and there's many things that I can't control, like what other people do, or sudden deaths that may occur in my life. But what I can control is my thoughts, my emotions, and then my words and actions that come from that. So I love where how you've talked about empowerment and disempowerment, and the people who do the best in this life are people who use each situation as a way of empowering themselves.
I could literally talk for 7 hours about what you just said, but I'm gonna intend on 7 minutes. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
go, I guess, backwards, because there's so many things that I love that you said. First of all, I don't believe in a bad breakup or a bad anything, and here's why. If and when you choose, yeah, all these people listening going like, yeah, let me call in and tell her about my breakup, sister.
Right. I know.
However, if you can understand this in this, if you choose to understand this in this now moment, I'm catching myself with words all the time. Everybody, this is a forever thing for eternity, because you're an eternal being. What's the rush? Anyway, it's so fun. Here's why. If you choose to define everything, I'm the excitement whisperer. Why? Because if you choose to define everything as excitement, because everything is energy, okay? So if you have an energy of anxiety, which a lot of people are riddled with in this now moment and on this planet, or an energy of dread or an energy of depression, etc. Let's use anxiety, and because I said it first and it begins with an A. Anxiety is the exact same energy as excitement with a different belief. So at the end of that beautiful everything, I was going to say diatribe, but it wasn't this beautiful, everything that Nick said, he said, it was interesting because he noted emotions, thoughts, and action, I believe, but he didn't say belief. And here's the key, right? The beliefs are what are the fertile ground that where those seeds grow. And so think of beta, beliefs, emotions, thought, action. All right. So think of that and go back and listen to this, write it down, whatever you need to do. Now, and also a lot of what I'm saying is just going into energetically, so you don't even have to really understand it, I promise, because I send a lot of energy through. So thoughts. Nick was talking about how your thoughts, it was hilarious what he said. It was so funny. It was perfect. So a few of the concepts to which he referred are momentum. So momentum gets a hold of you, and it just it's sloppy, lazy thinking. It's like you're just used to thinking whatever it is. Okay. Now, here's what I propose. Let's say you're anxious. Well, first of all, it's the exact same energy as excitement. It's just a different belief. So what I do personally when there's anxiety or fear, which is every single day, people think I don't have these emotions. And it's like, are you kidding me right now? So I just am very, very disciplined and very well practiced. And you can be that disciplined and well practiced now. I'm not ahead of anybody, okay? Everything is now. So if you can literally imagine this, so you feel anxious or you feel fear, similar, go right to the door. I'm a visual person. Go to the door, open the door. Here's fear or anxiety. We'll pick anxiety. Hi, anxiety. I invited anxiety. Who else is inviting anxiety? The entire universe is me, within me and you. Do you understand that? Your universe is you. You are the crystal. And this is, I'm going to go back to what Nick originally said about you're just a computer chip, taking in. That's one thing I'm going to just kind of tag on to that is you are a crystal with, from which you project your universe. So that people are going to tell you this, and that, but in the end, you are the crystal and you can choose. Okay. So people do give you data, and it's not like once you nail this, I pretty much nail this. You don't think I still don't see contrast and things I don't prefer? Of course, I see it even more. I was just in New York City. I got home last night. I was watching David Byrne at a one-night event called Amazing People Doing Amazing Things. It was truly amazing. And when I was walking through New York City, I was like, am I dreaming or in a nightmare right now? Like people, I can't even describe. They're just walking like this with their heads down. Not everyone. I mean, of course, I find people and we smile and nod and thumbs up. But they're doing that because there's just too much coming at them and they don't know how to respond to it. So they're just shutting down. So once you open up, you're going to see more. And you're going to be like, whoa, this is Times Square. This is a lot, right?
Yeah, it's a lot, yes.
But back to your relationship, what happened with Nick was the bad breakup. The reason I know it was painful, and I'm sorry about that, and that sucks. So you feel the feeling, and then you do the threshold of believability game. I love games. You go, okay, how long do I think I need to get over this person? And then if I were working with you, I'd say, 25 years? And you hopefully would laugh. And then we'd get it down to where you hesitate, right? And you're like, and so 25, 10, 5, 3 months, and there's your belief. Your belief is this is going to take me this amount of time. Okay. Now I just worked with a client who manifested her dream partner, and she did so, and her family was like, oh, well, that was kind of fast. to be doing. And I was like, wait, what? And I'm obviously not going to go into details because it's all confidential, but first of all, it wasn't even fast, but everyone has beliefs, right? And Nick
Yeah.
even said, ooh, rebound, bad idea. Now, I won't ever say a blanket statement like that, because if you're grounded in who you are, you can meet someone that moment and the peanut gallery is going to say you're screwed, but that's okay. That's none of your business. You could wait 2 years, what they say, and be really messed up and attract another bad match, meaning not in alignment. Does that make sense?
No, that makes complete sense. And that's what coming to this point is that your vibe attracts your tribe, or your vibration attracts your partner. So what I've had to work on in the past 2 years, as I've been single in this time period, is really focusing on loving myself, creating the person or partner that I want to attract within me, and making
Yes.
sure that I'm um, all those things and then some, so that when that person does come in front of me, it'll be an effortless match and connection. Yeah, I think what often hinders us, or what's hindered me in the past, is that you need to it's like these timelines, like you need to be married and find your partner by this moment. If you don't, something's wrong with you. And so again, it's like this whole societal makeup that has influenced me, maybe not consciously, but certainly in the subconscious, to put yourself in a place where you then start chasing after matches. You're not necessarily attracting. I am literally chasing after individuals who I feel fit the mold of who I'm supposed to be with. And then all of a sudden, I'm in that relationship, and you go through those highs of like, oh, this is amazing, this person's so fun, sex is amazing, first couple months type of thing. But then, because it wasn't built on a solid foundation, where I never spent time understanding what my own beliefs are, what my own values are, then that foundation ended up crumbling. And then I was like, well, I get emotionally attached to individuals, so the break off isn't always as easy. So that's like one of the major things that have kind of occurred with me. But what I've had to go in during this time period, one of the greatest things I've learned is, first, healing my past, B, being grounded into the present, and then C, focusing on what is my beliefs right now. What are my values that I really believe in? Like currently, I believe in a personal growth journey, and spending time on yourself and loving yourself. And I believe in empathy, and I believe in philanthropy and humanitarianism. So I really double down on myself, and hoping that, this energy that I'm embodying now, like you said so well, is this energy will be matched with my partner. And that will occur when the alignment is ready for it to occur. It doesn't mean it's going to occur tomorrow. It doesn't mean it's going to occur next year. But when it does occur, I'm going to be ready.
I love that. And I'm going to pick on a few words. Is that okay?
Yeah, pick on anything. That's what we're here for. I love it.
Okay, I love everything you said. Instead of hoping, know it. So instead of even knowing is even higher than belief. So go for knowing, and when you know it, it just is. And the only way to know it is to know it, and then just see what happens, and you'll be so surprised that the universe goes, "Oh, he knows it," like this. If you're hoping or you're wanting, okay. Now, so there are 5 universal laws. You cannot break them. 1 is you exist. So there is no death. You change forms. 2 is everything is now, now. There's no past or future. Everything is now. And you actually create your past now. So we could do a whole nother one of these. Let's do it on a podcast on healing your past. Okay. Because we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
So you exist, everything is now. What I put out comes back, law of attraction. All is one. We are all one. That's another whole podcast. And the fifth law is everything changes except the first four laws. So when people are clinging to, I don't want it to change, you cannot win that battle and you never will. So it's exhausting. If you're tired, that's why. One of the reasons. Secondly, when you're waiting, and this, so many people say this, and I hear it all day long. Where is he? Where is she? Where's my partner? I'm behind. Society says this. The only way you cannot attract or allow, it's not even attracting, it's allowing the person to come in, is to ask where they are. They can't come in. Think about it. Think about if everything is now and you're saying, where are they? It's like UPS, it doesn't work with Amazon because they leave packages. You know, in UPS, you have to sign for a package. UPS is like banging on your door, ready to sign, and you're not there. Why? Because you are not in the moment. You're saying, where is he? Where is she? Be here. And then UPS says, here it is. So oftentimes, now backing up, you said our minds create blah, blah. I don't believe our minds create anything. Our higher self, and I'm speaking for Nick's higher self now, up on the mountain, they create everything. Right. Our lower mind sabotages. Yes. Attempting to help by keeping everything the same or telling you that you suck, right? Boom. And the reason he, she, or they tells you suck is because they thrive. And by the way, this is you. It's not a demon. It's not a devil. There's no such thing. It's all you. And you're just doing the best you can, but love that part of yourself and say, I know that you're doing your best, but you can't create. So you're going to just like chill for now. And then that part of you wants you to stay. Please stay with me. If you do that, you're going to look really stupid. If you say this, you're going to have egg on your face. Stay here and be comfy with me. At least you know what it's like.
There it is. You said it so well. Like, people don't want or afraid of change, and it's very scary, and there's a lot of fear. And sometimes when we've been hurt in the past, we also are afraid to get hurt again in the future. So opening up our hearts and lowering the walls around it can be very scary. And often it prevents us from actually manifesting that dream partner.
So hold on. Let's give a tool right now for that, because everyone relates to what you said. So Nick, I'm scared because I've been hurt in the past. So what I would do immediately right there and go, excuse me, because I'm talking to your lower mind, your inner critic, ego, who is you. Mm-hmm. However, what you learn to do is you learn to listen to the voices, all Nick, who set your heart free. You don't get mad at that lower mind. That's like getting mad at a toddler who falls down and screaming at them and telling them, get up, you little dummy, or why can't you do calculus? The toddler can never do well, my son actually could, Montana, but he's that's a whole separate thing, but not calculus, but you know what I'm saying? There are always outliers or people who are different, but the bottom line is your lower mind is doing all that it can to protect you. However, what I would say is go to the door, and remember in the Wizard of Oz and they pull back the curtain and it's just like this dude standing there like, what? And that there's nothing there. Fear is just you trying to keep you here, okay? And the fear of vulnerability is the fear of power, because vulnerability is power. So think about it. When you meet someone, even if they're like quirky or like out there, but they're so authentic, you like them because they are themselves. Yes. And that is your only job. And if you're just, authentically Nick, in she comes, or he, I don't know what your preference is, but your partner comes, and unless you're going, where's my partner? Then UPS is knocking, you're not there. Why? You're in the future, or you're in the past. My parents said this. And so the bottom line is 5 steps. Follow your highest excitement whisper, act on it, keep a positive attitude. I'm going to explain why, outlook. Examine your beliefs all the time. I'm afraid. Open the door. Hi, fear. What am I afraid of? You're going to look stupid. It's going to hurt again. No, it's not. I'm different. I'm not the same person. That you're not the same person. You learned. And also remember, hurt is all relative because you learn. It's a stepping stone, right? And you attracted it. That's the biggest key, you guys, is I created something that caused me suffering. I wonder why. Feel the feeling. And then ask yourself, why did I create this? What's the lesson? And once you know the lesson, you squeeze all the, I like to say like a lemon, you squeeze it, and then off it can go. You cannot get rid of it, though. Where would it go? Everything is always forever, all right? Yeah. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, and I agree. Like, it's about using each situation, each relationship, each adversity, as a lesson to learn from. You may get a scar from that, but use that scar as a badge of honor that you've learned, that you've grown from. Right? Love it.
Love it, because think about it. Remember back at the beginning of this talk, we said, if you're pushing it away, it's bouncing back. Think of a room. Whatever metaphor works, use it, and whatever permission
Gonna have it once.
So this is the 5 steps, and I'll also give you a visual of this. It's really easy, and you might want to put it on your fridge. It's a circle. So it's conscious creation, and this never changes. This is not a philosophy. This is how creation works forever. Okay, nothing. People are always like, yeah, give me another step. I'm like, that's it. So number 1, follow your excitement, because that's your higher mind speaking. Your lower mind's going to be like, yeah, that's really selfish. You should be instead doing this. No. Okay, so follow this, because that's your higher mind speaking. That's the communication. Number 2, take action. So do not be a keyboard, what do they call them? Keyboard warrior, whatever, like a tire kicker. Just act on it. And if some people go, I don't know if I should do this or this, I go, flip a coin. Do one of them. And then if it goes well, keep going. All right?
So if you're trying to attract your dream partner, you are you want to go for that excitement. You're trying to, your higher self saying that I want to have this in my life. So 2, you're wanting to take action. How are people taking action in terms of helping them attract their dream partner?
Okay, but hold on, to clarify, excitement. So if you're like focused on dream partner, okay, which is what this whole podcast is about.
Yeah.
Excitement, let's say in the moment you feel like going for a walk to the beach, or you feel like going to Starbucks, or you feel like taking a nap, whatever it may be, do it. Because your lower mind might say, no, you have to get on Match.com, and you gotta go to whatever, all those things. If that doesn't feel exciting, know the difference between anxiety and excitement. So anxiety is, your parents think that you should have been married 10 years ago and you're screwed. So get on that website now. If getting on the website makes you feel not the best ever, that's not your excitement. What people don't understand, they're afraid of following the excitement. They go, if I follow my excitement, then something will go wrong. That is not following excitement, because it's a complete kit. Okay? So something going wrong might be Nick having a breakup that feels bad. However, that leads into this and this and this, and boom, there's his partner. And he needed to do it that way. And if he has regret, I say, okay, let's erase that. You would have had contrast in a different way. You're gonna find it through data, right? Data collection. So, and the reason you came to Earth is for this. When you're in non-physical, you can just think and it's already done. So excitement might be, if you're excited about going on a dating site, do it. If you're excited to go on a trip, on a hiking trip, do it. However, it's coming from that excitement, not anxiety. Number 2 is action. So if you think like, oh, I want to go on that hiking trip, or, ooh, I want to go to Starbucks, even though I'm supposed to be doing emails, do it. Even if it makes no sense. Okay. Number 3, maintain a positive outlook. And the reason I say that is because what you are living is a reflection of your outlook. It's not the other way around. When I get a partner, I'll be happy. No, you won't. You'll be the same as you are now, and your partner will not be a good match unless you're in a good place. So if you look in a mirror and you're frowning, you have to smile, right? It's the same exact principle. So once you choose, even if you're in a complete shit show situation, people say, how am I supposed to be positive? Here's how. I have no idea how, flip the coin, but this is for the highest good of all. That's it. Or you could say, whatever I do, I'm always enough. Whatever I do, it's always enough. Even if right in that moment you feel like a big fat failure, say it and believe it, okay? Number 4, let go of attachment to outcome. Here's why. Let's say this guy down here, Nick here in the valley, is like, this would be the best ever. And you have this vision and, whatever. And I would do that for 15 minutes max, you guys. That's it. And then let it go. Then this Nick up here is like, that's cool. That's exciting. It's way better than that. All right. What I have cooking. If you hold to this, let's say you're like, oh, I want to meet my dream partner in yoga class, right? And you have this like vision. That's how I met Philippe. We were filming a video, but I did not have that vision at all. I was horrified by the whole thing. But anyway, but you're at Starbucks and someone's like trying to get your attention and you're like, I got to get to yoga class so I can meet my partner. And they're right there, but you can't see them. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yes, exactly.
Okay,
that's right.
So that's attachment, and so sometimes people think you're telling me to let go of attachment because what you want me to have, Taylor, is worse, and it's the opposite. And then the 5th thing is re-examining your beliefs. So let's say you're totally feeling great, and you're like high vibe, everything's going well, you followed your excitement, and then all of a sudden, whatever, something negative happens. Negative. I don't believe it. Whatever. You don't prefer it. So that's called an echo. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes your higher being sends you that to see if you've really changed or if you're looking for the external to reflect it. And if you go into your same spiral, you haven't changed, so why should your... If you say, this sucks, okay, I want to be clear. This is not about pretending that something doesn't suck or you're not angry. Feel your feelings, please, or you will create dis-ease. That should be a sticker.
That should be. I was like, man, I love the way that sounds.
So feel it and then say, what did she say? She said, okay, this could be an echo, so let me just maintain a positive outlook. Whatever I do, I'm always enough. I'm going to take a nap, restart. And then you wake up and you feel better, and then boom, in they come.
Yep.
One last thing, it doesn't take time. It takes alignment.
I love that. That's a perfect way to end this conversation, Taylor. That was beautiful. I hope everybody out there was able to pick up something, and she's right when it comes to sometimes we need to go through this again and you'll pick up other things. But most importantly, what we're trying to find is always within ourself. So the more that you love yourself, the more that you focus on yourself and getting yourself into a high vibration, the more that will attract those types of things into your life. All right. For more information on how you can get with Taylor, we'll have that in the comments. And for a link to her book, The Best Life Ever, we'll also put those down in the comments. Until next time, love and peace.